The day I found the passbook, it was covered in dirt. I'd been cleaning out the old shed behind Grandpa's house. The one Mom said was full of junk. She had already tossed most of his things after the funeral. Said holding on to them was unhealthy. The small metal tin was wedged under a loose floorboard. Inside it, a faded bank passbook, my name written on the front in Grandpa's careful handwriting. When I brought it inside, Mom went pale. "That should have stayed buried," she snapped. "It's nothing." Nothing? The last entry was dated 12 years ago. Small deposits. Consistent. Every month. I didn't argue. I just went to the bank the next morning. The building hadn't changed. Same marble floors, same quiet hum of air conditioning. I handed the passbook to the receptionist, who raised an eyebrow and disappeared into the back office. 10 minutes later, the branch manager came out himself. He wasn't smiling. "Where did you get this?" he asked gently. "It was my grandfather's. He left it for me." He nodded slowly, flipping through the fragile pages. "This account was flagged years ago. We tried contacting the primary guardian listed, but we received written instructions that the beneficiary did not wish to be contacted." Primary guardian. My mom. My stomach dropped. "How much is in it?" He typed for a moment. The screen reflected in his glasses. Then he leaned forward. "Your grandfather didn't just deposit savings. He set up long-term instruments attached to this account. They've matured." My heart pounded. Matured to what? He turned the monitor slightly, so I could see. The number didn't look real. 6 figures. Plus accumulated interest. I couldn't speak. The manager continued. There were also letters on file. He requested they only be released to you directly once you came in person with identification. Mom told me Grandpa died broke. Told everyone he left nothing but debt. The manager slid a sealed envelope across the desk. My name was written on it in the same careful handwriting. I opened it right there. "If you're reading this, it means you found what I couldn't trust anyone else to protect. This money isn't just savings. It's choice. Use it to build a life where no one can make you feel small for existing." My hands trembled. When I got home, Mom was waiting at the kitchen table. "You went to the bank, didn't you?" "Yes." Her jaw tightened. "You don't understand what that money was meant for." "It was meant for me." Silence. Heavy and electric. "I needed it," she said finally. But the account history showed no withdrawals. She hadn't taken it. She'd tried to erase it. Because Grandpa hadn't trusted her with control. And now the control was mine. Mom didn't yell. That would have been easier to handle. Instead, she leaned back in her chair and crossed her arms like this was just another argument she intended to win. "You have no idea what your grandfather was like toward the end," she said coolly. He wasn't thinking clearly. The bank manager's words echoed in my head. Long-term instruments, formal instructions, beneficiary release protocol. That didn't sound like someone confused. "He met with a financial advisor," I said carefully. "He signed documents. Multiple times." Her eyes flickered. "Just for a second. You think money equals love," she shot back. "That's not what this is." But she stood abruptly, pacing now. "He was trying to undermine me. That's what this was. He never approved of how I raised you. This was his way of interfering. Interfering. By saving for me. Quietly. For years." I didn't respond. I just placed the envelope from the bank on the table between us. She stared at it like it might explode. "I'm not giving you that," she said flatly. I didn't ask. That was when the air shifted. For the first time in my life, I wasn't negotiating for approval. I wasn't defending myself. I was simply stating a fact. The next morning I went back to the bank. The manager walked me through everything in detail. Grandpa had set up a trust-linked savings structure. The passbook was symbolic, the visible thread. But the actual funds were protected in layered accounts with strict access rules. The reason Mom couldn't access it? She had never been authorized. She was listed only as guardian contact until I turned 18. After that, the bank was instructed to communicate solely with me. "But we received written communication declining contact," the manager repeated. "Signed in your name." Signed in my name. My stomach tightened. I was 16 when those letters were sent, I said slowly. He didn't respond verbally. He didn't have to. Forgery doesn't require dramatic music. Just paper and a pen. The bank had flagged the signature discrepancy years ago, but couldn't override the instruction without my presence. That's why the account sat untouched.
Growing.
Waiting for me to show up. When I got home that evening, Mom was quieter, almost watchful. They told you everything, didn't they? She asked. Yes. Her shoulders slumped slightly. Not in defeat, in calculation. I did what I thought was best, she said. You were young. If you'd known about that money, you might have made reckless decisions. So you erased it? I postponed it. By pretending it didn't exist? She didn't answer. For years, every financial struggle we faced had been framed as unavoidable. Tuition loans, missed opportunities, compromises, all while 6 figures sat untouched. Compounding. You could have told me when I turned 18, I said. You were immature. I graduated top of my class. You were emotional. I was honest. That landed. Silence stretched between us. Finally, she said what this was really about. If you take that money and move out, I lose you. There it was. Not fear of irresponsibility. Not protection. Control. Grandpa hadn't just left me savings. He'd left me leverage against dependents. The following week, I met with an attorney, not to sue, not yet, but to understand my position. The forged letters could be investigated. The bank had records. Handwriting analysis was possible. But pressing charges would fracture everything permanently. So I chose something else. I opened a new account in my name alone, transferred the funds, set up automatic investments. Then I sat down with Mom one last time. I'm not reporting you, I said calmly. But this doesn't get rewritten. It happened. Her eyes filled, but she didn't cry. I was scared, she admitted quietly. Scared you wouldn't need me. I thought about Grandpa's letter. Use it to build a life where no one can make you feel small for existing. I'll always need a mother, I said. Just not one who hides doors. I moved out 2 months later. Not dramatically. Not angrily. Just steadily. The passbook sits in a drawer in my new apartment. The numbers are digital now, growing quietly in the background. But the real inheritance wasn't the money. It was the moment I realized something had been buried, and I was strong enough to dig it back up. A year later, Mom came to visit my apartment for the first time. She noticed the passbook framed on my bookshelf, not as a trophy, as a reminder. I was wrong, she said quietly. Not defensive. Not strategic. Just honest. I know, I replied. We're not perfect now, but we're clearer. Grandpa didn't just leave me money. He left me proof that truth, even buried, has a way of resurfacing, and when it does, it changes everything.